right, so this one's by Cliff. This is another patron. What if
Cliff.
death is how our minds fold back into the consciousness of the universe? I mean, that just seems like the natural order.
Cliff's been on the show, by the way.
Yeah.
Love Cliff. Thanks for the submission. What if death is how we fold back into the consciousness of the universe?
I mean, it's like it makes sense to me. It's like, again,
Yeah, it just seems like the answer.
The beings told my dad, when we die, we become as they are. We go into an orb and we return to the eternal world, is what they called it.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't say the spirit world; they call it the eternal world. But I think that I have noticed that the entities have very carefully chosen language that has a universal meaning that's not polarizing. You know what I mean?
It's not like spirit world. You could attach fear to it. Like you're a spirit, and when you die, your spirit passes on. And I could totally see that being scary to to someone. Like, it could be scary. In the eternal world, that the's just no.
That sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, it sounds positive. It sounds like you can't avoid.
I heard something from I think it might have been Joe Rogan, but he was talking about DMT, and he had read somewhere that there's this theory that potentially DMT is like the chemical that allows wherever the consciousness or the soul is being stored, it allows it a path.
The portal opens.
Yeah.
It allows the portal to open.
that realm to reemerge with that consciousness. And so like consuming it in our while we're still alive, it gives us potentially like a glimpse into that realm, but like death would be like the big glimpse, and like you really fully take that path, no turning back, and you shoot off into that other realm, which would be the collective consciousness.
I've got a question for you guys.
Yeah.
All of you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is the fact that this existence is the fact that this existence will come to an end scarier than the thought of eternity?
For me, yes.
Okay, so you're saying for you, you're more afraid that life is finite, or you're more afraid that it's forever?
Well, I'm enjoying life. I'm trying to enjoy life, as much as everyone can. And sometimes you feel like you're late to that. And right now, I'm starting to release some of that. Not so much enjoyment. I'm trying to really move forward into enjoying life, and I feel like I'm a little late. So it's a little spooky, but when I'm 70, I'm not gonna care.
Totally.
Honestly,
and full disclosure, for probably the majority of my life, I felt the same way.
Yeah.
I like life. Life is dope. I would say I was also kind of late to the game with fully embracing and enjoying life and in a healthy, positive way.
Yeah.
But you know what, man? I have had more comfort with these esoteric concepts and these mystical descriptions of death and the afterlife. I have found infinitely more comfort in these few years that I've been studying that than I ever got from Christianity.
I was thinking the same thing.
It's because you feel it to be true.
I do. It to be true.
Right. The truth
so many
resonates.
Star Wars references.
Yeah.
The truth resonates. It really does.
Yeah.
And once I just started exclusively following my intuition, I feel like I have a really good meter for the things that ring true with me. It's like I've honed it to where almost immediately I have a feeling that's true, that's not true, that's how it is, that's not how it is. But to me, the exoteric description of death and the afterlife was always, what's the best word? Incomplete.
Yeah.
Scary.
Illogical.
Very scary.
It didn't make
it didn't make sense to me.
It did not make sense.
I always felt a little bit confused, and that's why I was a practicing Christian. We'll preface.
Let's make it very clear really quick that Lee and I went to the same church.
Yeah.
So whatever conditions I was raised under, him too.
I respect a lot of the ideas. A lot of it,
Yeah.
I think everywhere, every religion, no matter what it is,
There's good in it.
good. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, people wouldn't still be following
Exactly.
it
And they wouldn't
openly.
be so widespread.
Yeah. There's wisdom in all traditions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I totally relate with that for sure. It definitely feels, because you can take anything you want with you from any like belief system. So I get that.
Yeah,
like
and that's one of the major problems I have with like organized religion and exoteric religion is that most of them say like, all right, so you're reading this book, which means like you have to take every single word as truth. And you can't pick the things that you like and go to other places and find other things you like. It's just this. It's just this one
it's
thing.
the secrets of the whole universe, dude.
Yeah.
According to that religion.
Exactly. You got to stay in this box. And it's like, well, I mean, what if I read the Bhagavad Gita and a lot of that resonates with me and I feel like a lot of that's true? Is like, am I bad for that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the core problem is you never feel comfortable to ask questions.
Yeah, and
if you ask questions, you just sound dismissive. I think that's where a lot of our like shared trauma comes from. We're not allowed to ask because it's usually brought with like negative response.
Oh yeah,
like you're not trusting it well enough.
Yeah,
you don't have
like
enough faith into it if you have questions to ask.
Yeah. You shouldn't even be thinking that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. But like, especially with the way, I mean, we were all Christian here. Me and Lee went to the same church. You went, it wasn't our church, but it's still a Christian church.
I've been to y'all's church a few times.
Yeah.
For sure. The point is the belief is inherently the same. The book is the same.
Yeah.
The book. All of these different groups just have different ideas about it. But like, even as a kid, I would sit there and I wouldn't ask this. You know what I mean? Because we know better.
Yeah.
But I would think like, well, what about the kid in Africa or the Sahara Desert or the Amazon who never heard about Christ? Like, is he going to go to hell forever?
Typically, the response I would get, and I didn't ask this question, too afraid, but I've had people ask around that question, and typically it's one of those like, well, they should know, or they should intuitively understand that they come from something above, and that's very flawed.
It was
I was always told by people like the same thing always, which is that
they should know.
Well, no, I was actually told by like everyone growing up that every soul on this planet will at some point
hear about it.
Me and
too.
Be introduced to the concept.
That's
of
the
Christ.
answer.
And I'm like, what about a 9-month-old baby who dies of cancer?
Well,
like,
they actually,
what?
Actually, they do. There's a point where the innocence is broken. Mm-hmm. This is what I've always been told and understood it when I was.
They're like, it's around 8.
Yeah. The innocence gets broken. That's when they're sinful. You know, it's weird.
But we're born into sin. I thought we were born into sin.
That's Catholic.
Yeah.
That's Catholic.
But like, if you have a miscarriage, they don't go to hell because obviously they can't repent.
But according to Catholics,
really,
yes,
oh yeah,
yes, the Catholic ritual and belief system is like you are literally born in a sinful state, and you must be saved through baptism. I mean,
they
all
also
the sacred
think
rites.
that like defecating is sinful. It's pure evil.
That's Judaism. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have a prayer. They have a prayer about it.
Okay, well, I'm ignorant.
It might be Catholicism.
Yes, no, it's not. But on the Catholic side, you're literally baptized as a baby child,
right?
And
true.
then
to save
it's your responsibility to go to confession every time you sin, or on a weekly basis. And so you're forgiven of your original sin, which is what you were born with at baptism, and then it's on you from that point to absolve your own sins.
Doesn't that suck, bro? Like
that sucks.
Your soul is born dirty and evil.
So I went
according to that.
Yeah.
You guys know this, but I went to Catholic school. So K through 5, I'm in Catholic school learning Catholicism, whatever. But I remember we would go on a monthly or bi-monthly basis and sit in the hallway and go one by one into the priest's office.
Oh.
Yeah, and have confession. But it wasn't like behind a screen. It was just as I'm sitting here looking at you guys. You're sitting there looking at the priest, and I'm going, yeah, I talked back to my mom, and I hit my brother. And
I paused certain scenes in Animal House.
Actually, just watch Animal House for the first time this year.
I know, you talked about it the other day.
I didn't get to pause.
Jessica Simpson music video. Oh my God.
Back in the days when we had VHS tapes, it's like, pause.
I don't know how it happened.
Yeah. Oops. Your dad walks in.
Yeah.
That's actually the first technology that I think I learned how to interface with.
So
VHS.
Nice.
If I may ask, does Catholicism have things with miscarriage? Is there any?
I wouldn't know. I didn't look into it.
Okay.
That's not what they taught us in fifth grade.
Yeah. But yeah, no, my general point too is like, yeah, I never thought it made sense. And also like when you get into the biblical description of life after death, like no cap, it's just very confusing. It's like, okay, so there's one reference by Jesus that just talks about a place that's weeping and gnashing of teeth. Okay, so what's he talking about? I don't know. And then there's a future part written by somebody who's not Jesus and was written many decades after he died. And it was like, you'll go to a lake of fire and burn in eternal torment.
Yeah.
Okay. But then there's also a part in like either Thessalonians or Revelations that's like, when you're dead, you lay in your grave until the final judgment day, which is like experienced by the collective. So all the trillions of souls that have died before us, their ghost is supposedly just laying asleep in the grave.
But Jesus also went to get the keys to heaven in his 3 days. So
no, according supposedly Jesus went to hell for 3 days.
That's what I meant to say. He went to hell to get the keys from the devil.
That's not in the book. That's just part of the doctrine.
What?
It's not in the book.
Yeah, bro. I mean,
there's all these ideas that spin around, and it's like, which one is it?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, do you go to heaven when you die, like a lot of people believe, or is it like the book?
Hearsay?
A lot of it's hearsay, and then there's a lot of it's hearsay fluffed up like this because of a line that'll be like, the souls sleep until the final day when this, you rise from the grave at that final judgment. And we're all standing in the clouds. But so it's like, what? None of this gives me comfort.
No.
You ask your pastor.
It's not supposed to.
None of them have the same answer.
No, never.
Some will tell you there's the one judgment. Some will tell you, well, they're waiting on you in heaven. I don't know.
Yeah,
according to that,
on me. It's like, are they looking down on me or are they waiting? And that's the other thing. They're like, you're supposed to believe every word. So
right.
It's like, how am I supposed to?
But every pastor tells a different part of it.
So how am I supposed to believe every word?
Then it's up to the congregation to identify with that. Specific pastor's description.
This is why it's important to just trust the things that resonate with you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know that these like pastors and deacons and people, they're like, you have to believe every word and whatever. But if you actually sat down and read the Bible, like, you would realize there's a lot of contradiction.
I believe that the Bible is loosely following real historical events that have happened. Like I believe like most of this stuff happened at some point in human history, but the system that published it and is like, we are the ones who are, dictating what this means and how you should believe, have kind of like fluffed it up to be like this one true control system. I don't think the Bible is untrue. I want to clarify that. I just think it's like, look at it as events that have happened, but it's like there's so much more to the mysteries of consciousness and life after death and the soul. And it's like, bro, it's like the only reason people worship Jesus like a god anymore, or, still to this day, Jesus was literally like, don't worship me. I'm not God. People are falling in front of his face. Don't worship me. Like, don't take a rabbi. Don't take a master. Like, just live like me to see the face of God. And then there's a scripture, I think written by the Apostle Paul, which there's controversy behind him. And it's like the only way you can get to heaven is if you say out loud with your mouth that you believe and that you confess that he did this and this and this and this and this, and then this and this and this and this and this happened, and then he did this and this and this and this and this. That's the only way, according to that you can make it in the afterlife. It's like, well, wait a minute, but Jesus said something different.
But then also the commandments you have to follow as well separately.
Well, Jesus said those are done. The only two commandments now is love your neighbor, treat them as you would treat yourself, and love God. But I think that's as above, so below. Like we all are
God.
It's like love both, but it's like, inwardly respect your divinity, but also respect the divinity of everything around you. My big takeaway, I don't hate Christianity. I want to make that very clear.
Yeah.
I love Christ. I love the wisdom. I just think that we're moving forward into a new way of thinking that's like there is wisdom in all of these systems.
Yeah. I agree.
Let's find the
center of the Venn diagram.
Collection of it all. Yeah, where it all meets.
What's the center of the Venn diagram called?
The Pisces.
The Vesica Piscis.
Vesica Piscis.
Callback.
Yeah.
Vesica Piscis.
Yeah, great question.
Thanks, Cliff. That was a good one. All right.